Can single Christian men and women really be just friends? Sure, sometimes, but in the vast majority of cases, the couple is either just waiting for the right time to date, and so they're in that friendship phase, and they do both secretly like each other and will date one day, or the other likely situation is that one of those people romantically likes the other person, but the other friend doesn't have those same feelings and they just want to be friends. And in that second situation where one person likes the other person, but the feelings are not mutual, is it possible that the man is the one who just wants to be friends and the woman wants something more but they're just kind of in that friendship? Yeah, it's certainly possible. I'm not saying that never happens, but I do believe, which I'll explain shortly here, that when that happens, it's way more likely for the man to be the one with the feelings and the woman to be the one who doesn't like the man, but they're still in this friendship phase, even though one person likes the other person. And the reason why that I believe that's most cases, and I think we can see that, is because those types of friendships don't satisfy what a man usually is craving. A man isn't craving to emotionally connect with a woman that he isn't going to be in a romantic relationship with. He will play the friend role for a while if he feels like there's a potential for this to become a romantic relationship. But if he knows he's never going to date this person, he doesn't want a romantic relationship with her, then it doesn't have any incentive for him to be in that type of friendship because he's not craving that emotional connection like a woman does. I'll talk about in a moment. A woman does get satisfied, does get something filled from that type of situation. Now, this video isn't about women getting used. Of course, they do get used, just like some men get used. But if a woman is to get used by a man who isn't romantically interested in dating her, usually that's going to occur sexually, because that does hit something in a man that he craves. When a worldly man who isn't following Christ doesn't want to date and have a romantic interest in a woman, he will use her for sex, even though he has no interest in ever becoming something more with her, because that's satisfying a craving that he has. He doesn't have a craving to connect with a woman in an emotional way that's absent of something more. But again, women do have that craving. And so women are far less likely to use a man sexually because that doesn't have a craving, that doesn't satisfy a craving that she really has. She'll allow herself to get used at times by men if she likes that man, but she's not going to allow that if she doesn't like him or she has no romantic interest in him. She's not going to have sex. Talking again from a worldly perspective here. But what she will do is get an emotional fix. She will stay in a friendship with a man that she's never going to date because she can get something she wants out of that, which is an emotional connection with a man. Attention, emotional satisfaction before she gets that in a deeper way with the man she will actually date. And so for those reasons and many more that I won't get into right now, I do believe that if someone's going to get misused emotionally before a dating relationship starts, it's usually the man. And therefore, here are 4 things you need to be aware of as a man to avoid getting used emotionally. Number 1, if she has rejected your romantic pursuit, but she's still also acting like you still have a chance with her. Why would a woman reject your romantic pursuits and not date you, but then also spend hours on the phone talking with you, stringing you along a little bit and acting like you still have a chance? If she's willing to share these emotional conversations and text you randomly throughout the day, or, again, have these long conversations and get together and talk heart to heart, why won't she just go on a date with you? Why will she not give you that chance, because it's tempting for you to be like, man, look how much time she spends with me. Look how much she opens up to me. Maybe I do have a chance, even though she rejected me before. Maybe she's just warming up to me. Like sinful men sleep around before they pick one woman and have a girlfriend and then stop sleeping around, so too will women oftentimes have emotional promiscuity with men, usually multiple men, but in some cases maybe just one man, because she's just waiting before she has a steady boyfriend where she can get satisfied. And so she's getting that fix while she doesn't have it from the one man she really wants to be with. Now, to balance this out a bit, if you have pursued a woman and she rejects you, I'm not saying it's wrong to try again at some point if you feel like maybe something changed, or some women really do need extra time to get to know a guy, especially Christian women, because they're often very guarded and don't want to get hurt and want to do things biblically, which is all very good, but it slows down the process. And so they're not as willing to just jump into a relationship. And so it's completely fine if it takes a little bit of extra time for you to show her that she does like you. But just be careful that if you did pursue her and she rejected you, and now she's stringing you along, and there's really no evidence that this is ever going to change. You're just constantly forever in the friend zone and kind of getting a little bit of attention because she likes the emotional connection. You just have to accept that this isn't going to change. She's not romantically interested in you, and she's emotionally using you. So you really need to move on. You have to guard your heart. Number 2, if she says you're her best friend. I'm not against Christian single men and Christian single women being friends. Even in those situations where they both like each other and they're in this friend area, and then their feelings start to change and then they want to date, that's actually great in my opinion, because friendship is one of the best foundations you can have for romance. So I'm not saying avoid these friendships, you're going to always get hurt. Yeah, you could get hurt, but it's also worth the risk, because if you want to get married one day, you actually have to open up and, hey, try it out in friendship for a while and see where things go. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'll take it even a step further. There's nothing wrong with this type of situation where a man and woman are just friends and then one of them starts liking the other one, but the feelings aren't mutual. And then, this other person gets hurt, and that's okay too, because that's a part of the process. That's what we all go through in our singleness when God eventually leads us to the person he does want us to marry. You end up liking people who don't like you back. That's a part of the process, and that's okay. You're learning, you're getting matured for the relationship that will work, and God's showing you through that experience, hey, this person isn't the one for you, so you don't have to wonder about it anymore. There's many positives to a situation like that. What I am against, however, is when this friendship goes to that level that's past a normal friendship. It's not just friends anymore. It's a romantic relationship minus the titles, minus romance, so to speak, but you're connecting in an emotional way that goes beyond healthy friendship. And that's where I say it's a bad idea. Because if you do get to that place with a friend, that's actually good, but the friendship needs to change into dating. Because I believe a biblical principle that's required to guard your heart is that intimacy and commitment need to be equal for things to be healthy. When your intimacy, and we're talking about emotional intimacy here, but the principle plays out with physical intimacy as well. When that exceeds the commitment that is present in the relationship, that's when people start getting hurt. And so I'm not for friendships that are too intimate for the commitment that friendship offers. So even when you then start dating and things progress and you want to be more intimate, then you need to get married, because the full intimacy needs to be protected by the full commitment that is only offered in marriage. So that's why I believe it's a really bad idea for men and women to be really good friends or my best friend, because in those situations, what's almost always happening is someone's heart is getting taken advantage of. Someone's getting emotionally used by the other person. And then when that person does get into a committed relationship with someone else in dating and marriage, as I'll talk about in a minute, that person gets pushed aside. And those feelings, the higher the emotions go, it's just going to cause that much more damage when the commitment ultimately can't handle the level of intimacy. Plain and simple, if a woman wants to date you, you will not be eternally stuck in the friend zone or be labeled as her best friend. Number 3, if she likes to talk to you about other guys. I've noticed this one occurs most often with women who don't have girlfriends to talk to. And so women typically like to connect verbally, and if they lack healthy outlets for that with other women, they will talk to anyone who offers them a listening ear. And so they want to talk about the things they care about, and thus, if a man's willing to listen, she will then talk about other men that she is interested in if she's not interested in that guy. And now, to be fair to this type of woman, this is one situation where she may truly be naive to the fact that this man does like her, especially when she's on the younger side. When she doesn't have much relationship experience, those types of women often have this deluded or immature mindset that men like to talk like they like to talk. They like to connect like we like to connect. And therefore, he's just a really nice guy. He likes listening to me. We're friends. We like to talk to each other about stuff. And she wouldn't say it like this, but basically, you're her male feminine friend. And the big picture here is, if you don't want to be treated like one of her girlfriends, then don't act like one of her girlfriends. Don't let her treat you as she would her girlfriend. If she's talking to you about other guys and you're her listening ear, if you're one of those guys who really likes to talk and is her friend, okay, but I'm betting that's not true of you. I'm betting you think that maybe you have a chance with her, but if that's happening, you really don't. Because she wouldn't be treating you that way if she actually liked you. She wouldn't be talking about other guys like that. Some women just truly are unaware of how men operate. For example, they're not aware of Proverbs 31, 18 through 19. There are 3 things that are too amazing for me, 4 that I do not understand: the way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the way of a man with a young woman. So even if she's truly naive, doesn't understand this type of thing, then you're still allowing yourself to be used emotionally by putting yourself in that situation. And number 4, if you stop existing whenever she does have romantic interest in a different guy. So maybe you thought you and this woman were in that friendship place that I talked about earlier that can be really healthy, and you two are connecting as friends and it's leading towards something more. And you thought that's where you were, but what really happened was you were friends and then she got interested in a different guy, and then slowly your friendship faded or abruptly faded. And now you're like, wow, what the heck? My advice is to grieve the loss for a few days. Allow yourself to be sad. That's healthy. That helps your heart move on, and that's good. But don't dwell on it too long, and just accept, hey, I realize now the feelings were not mutual, and I'm really glad I learned that sooner rather than later, rather than wasting time with a woman who's never going to see me in the way that I saw her. So although it stings right now, it's better for you to learn it sooner rather than later. Long story short, the clearest sign that a woman is using you emotionally is when she stops using you emotionally because she's now interested in a different man. Be faithful. If God has called you to marriage, that means he has a woman out there who's going to be interested in you as much as you are interested in her. So be grateful that you didn't get linked up with someone where the feelings aren't mutual. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. Make sure you're subscribed to this new YouTube channel for Christian men. I'm Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com, and I'll see you at the next video.